I just met with a client a week or so ago on a trucking case that we're handling, and the client asked a question that I thought I would share here today on video because it's a great question regarding trucking cases or cases where someone has been injured or killed by an 18-wheeler, a tractor trailer, some other large commercial vehicle. And what the question was is how is this case any different, or how is it different because it involves a tractor trailer versus just a regular car wreck? And there is so much packed into that question that really gets to the heart of why these trucking cases are different. And so let me just walk through a few of these points with you here today. A tractor trailer case is just a unique animal among personal injury cases. It's different because the trucks that are involved are bigger, they're heavier, they're more extensively regulated. They have drivers who have to pass an additional level of certification to get a commercial driver's license to operate those bigger, heavier vehicles. And all of that is in place because the size, the weight, the way that they're made just pose a unique risk on the roads. And so there's an entire agency in our federal government, the Federal Highway Transportation Safety Administration, within it the Federal Motor Carriers Administration, that are all set up to regulate these vehicles because they pose unique dangers on our highways when not operated properly. So one big difference in these cases is just typically the damages that we see, because they're bigger and they're heavier, are much worse than where you just have two cars involved or two regular passenger vehicles involved. And it's just a matter of physics. There's just higher risk. Physically, there's a lot more inertia and mass being thrown around and coming into contact in crashes involving tractor trailers. And so typically the injury, the harm is frequently worse. The fact that you have layers of regulation on these companies, on their drivers, create a different type of case and setting for showing negligence, for showing wrongful conduct on the part of the driver or the company when a wreck is the fault of that tractor trailer. And so you need someone experienced in those regulations, experienced in the context of tractor trailer cases handling your claim in order to work through those nuances. Another big difference, sort of separate from the wreck itself, is the fact that in most cases where a tractor trailer or other large commercial vehicle is involved, where a car wreck, each side has insurance, and you're typically dealing with an auto insurance company for the vehicle involved. When there's a commercial vehicle involved, quite frequently you may be dealing with a carrier that only covers tractor trailer vehicles or commercial vehicles. And so there's sort of a subset of insurance carriers out there that really deal heavily in this field and sort of specialize in those type claims, and you got to know what you're doing dealing with them. But also a significant number of the larger trucking companies or just companies that own their own trucks, big corporations that run their own trucks, are self-insured. And so you may not be dealing with an insurance company at all. You may be dealing with corporate representatives, or you may be dealing with a third-party claim handler who is handling the claims on behalf of that self-insured company, which gets into completely different dynamics than the typical car wreck case, where you're working with a lot of different insurance carriers who cover automobiles. So that's a big difference. Just in terms of working up the case itself too, these tractor trailer cases are nuanced. Typically you're going to have more experts involved, more specialized experts. For instance, your crash reconstructionist or accident reconstructionist are going to be typically more specialized on a tractor trailer case. In other words, there may be reconstructionists who do car wrecks, but who don't have the training and qualifications and experience to do wrecks involving these larger vehicles. Also, just the type of experts. We frequently get into, biomechanical experts, because you have a lot of different forces that are happening in a different way in a tractor trailer wreck versus a car wreck. You get into trucking safety experts that need to be involved to make sure that the trucking company follow the rules that they need to follow in terms of hiring and training and supervising their drivers. So there's just a lot to it. And the bottom line answer is there's just really, for a seasoned attorney, a seasoned trial lawyer who does these types of cases, there's just no comparison. They're two different things. A car wreck and a truck wreck are just two different types of cases that you work up in a different way. And if you have one of those cases, you really need an attorney and a law firm that knows that difference and that has experience in it. So the Brad Morris Law Firm, we're here. We offer free consultations if you've been involved in a wreck that has hurt or killed a family member or hurt yourself. We're here for a consultation. We're available to try to answer any questions that you have about it. I hope this information has been helpful to you, and I appreciate you watching.